Good evening, everybody. I am going to do a review on this new animation called Brynhildr in Darkness, or if I got the title wrong, I'm sorry. This is like brand new to me. I'm gonna do like a first episode impression and review the second one today. When I watched the first episode today, like I thought it was pretty cool. It had a good story background at the beginning. Like the main character lost his childhood friend. He feels really guilty about what happened to her, and later when time passes on, he decides to continue his work for her, like prove that aliens exist. I'm not so sure what kind of aliens he's talking about, space aliens or Earth aliens. I don't know, that kind of thing. That kind of thing he's trying to prove, or maybe his childhood friend is trying to prove. And as the story continues on, he's in 11th grade, and I go like, wow, they had to do a high time skip on that, you know. And when it came to the new student transfer, her name was Neko Kuroha, or Kuroha Neko, which he named his childhood friend. And surprisingly, he ends up going to her and said, "You remind me of someone, you know." And overall, I think he was wrong. And the girl says, "I don't know what you're talking about," and so forth. As the episode keeps on progressing and going on, it goes to the point of where it goes to the pool, and she mentioned that someone's going to die today, and this one girl, her leg gets stuck into the sucking vendor of a pool, which I don't really know what to name it, or I don't really know what it is, even though I swam for a long time. And later, she was close to dying. Later, I end up seeing a big old crater somehow next to the pool, like a hole, and then she managed to get out. She was saved by then before she got drowned or something, you know. And that I just go like, did something just happen? You know, I didn't know what was going on. Then we go to a point where the main character, I forgot his name. I'm sorry. He goes to the club of some kind of astronomy, takes a look at the star, always going there after school, taking a look at the stars and so forth, using this giant telescope that I forgot in its name already. I'm sorry about that. Then Neko Kuroha, or Kuroha Neko, just comes in and talks to him, saying that you can't miss that bus or you're going to die or something. You gotta meet it at this time, at this moment. And he ends up she ends up looking at some kind of picture, how many of these constellations or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it, or I've forgotten what it is. How many are there? He tells him there's 48. And she says, how'd you do that so fast?" And he tells her that it's multiplication, like in the rows of six of 8, or eight rows of 6, you know. And he says, "Don't you know your multiplication?" She says, "Multiplication?" And things gotten funny there, and I go like, "Oh wow, you're going to high school yet you don't know your multiplication. That's pretty interesting." And he ends up challenging her at something like arm wrestling. He goes like, "All right, let's you and me arm wrestle." Later, she ends up beating him in the moment like that. He ends up grabbing her arm and feeling it. I'm like, "Oh boy, what are you doing?" And she says, "What are you doing?" or something. And he goes like, "Why are you blushing? Why are you blushing?" She says, "Hey, I haven't seen anyone like touching my arm like this. Wouldn't you blush if they did this to you?" And he said, "Flex for me, you know, just flex for me." And later on, she tried to flex hard as she can, and he goes like, "How in the world did I lose to some squishy arm person like you?" She says, "I don't know, maybe because you're just a wimp." And I'm like, you got told out, you know. And she ends up having a walkie-talkie call, and she always says CQ CQ all of a sudden. And she ends up talking, saying, "Okay, I get it." And she ends up telling the protagonist, you got to stay here, sleep here tonight or something. You just missed the bus right now." And later, he ends up not going on the bus, but leaves the astronomy club or something, or where the big telescope is. And Kuroneko gets a call that he left, and she goes like, "Oh no!" And a landslide came up buried him, and the rock was supposed to kill him, but Kuroneko saved his ass and destroyed the boulder. And he goes like, "What in the hell are you?" You know. And that was my first impression of the first episode. Thought it was cool, you know. I'll give this one like 4 out of 5. Couldn't get it, but hopefully I will. And I'll get on to the second episode, which I watched today. And I'm sorry that I did this really late and at this time, you know, because I didn't know what else I can do. But I thought I might try a new animation I could watch before like these other major animes I want to watch, such as like coming in July, and pretty much y'all will find out which one I will review. And let's get started in episode 2. We go back at the beginning where like she saved the protagonist's butt, and later she ends up showing that she's a witch, and she has this kind of device behind her neck that I don't even really know, you know. And as the episode keeps progressing, she tells him that he should not follow her around anymore, you know, like goodbye whatsoever. And later on, next day of school, she was never there, and he was asked by the teacher to deliver something to her, like this form and then summer guide trip whatsoever for summer school trip. And he ends up going to an outpost look, but before that he ends up seeing some kind of armored military thing that he's not too familiar with. And what we get a glimpse at is two girls right there, which I'm pretty shocked at, you know. And later he ends up going to this outpost, and he wasn't too familiar. He goes like, "What? The teacher gave me address to this outpost? What the hell?" You know. And by that time, he goes to the abandoned village and ends up hearing Kuroneko singing. And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know she had this kind of hobby of singing while doing laundry or something, or hanging up clothes to dry up." And they end up having this talk, and he said like, "I don't know how you survive or something, but it sounds like you don't even know your multiplications or something." Kuroneko says back, "Hey, you know, that's not important on a day-to-day basis on what I do." And he ends up hearing a voice or something, and she tells him, "This is not a person's voice, just leave it alone." He says, "Oh, I'm gonna go make sure." And then another explosion comes in front of her. That would be Kuroneko's powers, and she said, leave, you know. And he was about to leave, but he goes like, "Oh snap, I forgot to give her the summer guide trip." He ends up going to this abandoned house that Kuroneko he thought might be living at, and by that time she ends up talking to someone that he doesn't even know, like who is she really talking to. And later, when she left to go get some pills or something to drink the medicine or drugs or so ever, he ends up taking a peek in the room. Who is she talking to? And it turns out to be some kind of doll-like figure, or so that he thinks it is. He was about to touch her face, and then Kuroneko says, "Don't worry, Kana-chan is alive." He goes like, "What?" And she says she's just like an experiment, but got like paralyzed in on the body or something. And right before then, she ends up giving her this kind of typing machine that whatever she types, it will save for her. And it says, "Oh, you pervert, what the hell were you doing sneaking into my room like that, huh? I thought I was going to get raped or something." I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty hilarious of what she said. And as things went on, she tells him, "I can't believe I saved this kind of hypocrite or pervert, you know." And later on, she gets some news saying that Kanade just got caught, and Kuroneko wants to do something about that, but Kana-chan says, "There's nothing we can do. They just took her to the lab already," and it shows like the armed military group just entered the lab already. By that time, Kuroneko ends up being really teary-eyed, and she's crying because she could not do anything. And the protagonist wanted to comfort her, but she tells him, "Leave, just go, leave me alone, you know, I'm tired." He left, and Kana-chan convinces Kuroneko to go back to school because your life is starting to shorten out. You may not be able to have the time to even do anything else right now. So do what you can. And if it weren't for you, I would not be here. I would have been dead like long time ago. And she decided to go back to school. And when when it was her turn to read, it's like she's not even reading correctly or something, or she's saying the words, but it's like in a first grade or childish manner by the protagonist, and he ends up taking her outside, like making an excuse like, "Can I have Kuroneko take me to the nurse's office? I'm not feeling so well." And he goes like, "Okay, I don't know how you got into the school, but it sounds like to me you can't even read your own kanji whatsoever." She says, "Yes, I can read it." He says, "Yeah, first grade level, like what you did." And she was like blushing, flustered or something. And later, she ends up having a call from Kana-chan, like a lady in the red is going to die. And I just go like, oh dear me, this ain't gonna be good. They end up having to run to the place, and Kuroneko's surprised that he's coming with her, and he goes like, "Do you even know where the curry shop is?" They run into the lady in red, and I go like, "I think that must be the lady that's supposed to die." But when they get to the crash site, Kuroneko felt hella guilty, and the main protagonist says, "Yeah, I guess so." It's like you have all this power, and it's like you feel like you killed. It's your fault that they died or something. It's like reminding me of something like great power comes to a great responsibility. You know, I'm like, I don't know why I bring that up. It's like you have all this power and you could have done something about this person. But lucky for it, she didn't die or something, because she talked to Kuroneko, the main protagonist. I'm sorry that I am forgetting his name right now. I really apologize for that. And later we end up going to, I think it was going to a scene of where like Kanade is like in this lab. She says, "Hey, I'm sorry to leave Maki-chan out of this, you know." But the person who she's talking to says she just found that you're using magic. She can't live any longer than that. And he tells her, "Tell me where the other witches are." And she said, "I don't know where they are. We just scattered." He says, "Eject her," and we end up seeing like the doctor press something behind her neck that Kuroneko had behind her neck, and she ends up being liquefied, or she dissolved or something, in other words. And he says, "Go find the other witches without any fail." And we go back to this abandoned house whatsoever, and Kana-chan's typing, "I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry" 3 times, and Kuroneko says, "Yeah, I'm hungry too. I'll be going to the mountain and be back." And Kana-chan says, "No, please, no wild herbs, I'm begging you." Kuroneko says, "Don't be spoiled, I'll be right back." And the main protagonist comes up, "What's all the rant about?" And she ends up sniffing, "What is that?" And he says, "Oh, I brought some food, you know." And she says, "What are we having? What are we having?" You know, it's like Yoko Kaiso bread, or I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry I got it wrong. I mean, this is like my first time watching the 2 episodes today, and I'm doing a review on it. I'm sorry that it came in really late. I don't know why I decided to do it now. I'm just doing it just to kill time, and it's like a cool hobby that I love. And let's get back to where we started. And he says, "I have cake," and she goes like, "Cake, cake, cake, cake," Kana-chan says. And he goes like, "Can you even eat?" And Kana-chan says, "Of course I can eat. If I didn't eat, I'd be dead already, you moron." And Kuroneko ends up using this blender and have 2 pieces of cake all mashed up, you know, and it seems to be all liquefied, and Kana-chan ends up saying, "No, the cute cake's all ruined, you know." And she ends up feeding her and says like she needs to eat this way for liquid that's liquefied, you know. And by the time she tells Kana-chan, "Okay, I'm gonna save this last piece for later," and the main protagonist says, "That piece is supposed to be mine," and she turns around and she ends up tearing up, and I go like, "Oh boy." He goes like, "What, you're gonna cry over this?" And Kana-chan says, "What are you doing? Don't make Neko cry or something." He says, "Oh, it's fine, you can have it, you know." And she ends up saying, "Really? Okay. Hey, Kana-chan, we'll save this for later. All right." And Kana-chan says, "Okay. I'm looking forward to it. You know." And when they end up after that, they talk outside, and Kuroneko says, "I'm gonna go to the summer trip after all. I haven't seen the ocean for a while, so I guess I'll go." And he tells her, "So what's the change of heart?" And Kuroneko says, "What? You got a problem or something? Is there something wrong?" And she ends up bleeding from her nose, and he seems really concerned. And the episode ends with Kuroneko not being at school, he said. And shows the ending of the song that I heard like twice in a row, you know. And what I really thought about this like episode is like it seems hella tough and kind of hard to live in a desolate area with nothing you have. It's just like Kuroneko has these skills, you know. And what made me think about it is like I don't even know how like how lucky anybody else can be like being a research experiment or having these supernatural powers or something. But it's all fantasy. But when I look at this episode twice, or it made me think about it, I'm just like, this is pretty sad for them. You know, they end up eating something like from the wild, whatever they could eat and chew on, and kind of got me thinking like, must be pretty tough. You know, it's pretty sad. And nothing more, you know. I thought these two episodes I watched and I wanted to review, even though the first episode was like a short one, because I thought I might want to get it quick and over with. And I'm sorry I did this really late. It's just like these kinds of things where, okay, I'm gonna do this last minute and might as well just do it now, you know. I really apologize for that, for you boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. But what I thought about this episode too is I thought it was cool, good progression, and kind of hit me hella hard, you know. Like y'all could think what you like, but I thought it was like pretty emotional a bit. Like seeing how like they never had a cake for like 10 years. I'm like, dang, I don't even know what the hell have you been eating, you know. And I just feel sad for them, you know. But they seem to be okay since the main protagonist is gonna hang out with them for a bit. And by that time, like I'll give this episode like 4 out of 5, just like an episode one, progressing very well, and everything seems to flow. And can't wait for next week's episode. I'm sorry that this review came in late, and hope you enjoyed it as much as I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'm looking forward to like maybe reviewing on this anime like once it ends or something. So have a good evening, everybody. Peace out. All right.